now having the ability to have conversations on the Notebook LM side with their AI generated hosts. What's your thoughts?
I feel like Tony Stark. First off, I feel like Tony Stark. I remember watching Iron Man 1, and I remember seeing him talk to Jarvis, and how I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait until we get to the level where I can be like, hey, can you figure this out? I got to go and grab lunch, and then come back, and then you're at another, they've made progress. And I think that that's the promise of the AI agents, which I think next year we're going to continue to see that be the topic of discussion, like the broad theme of AI in general is the agent conversation. But I'm so excited to try this feature out of from Google. I got turned on to this, of course, by Sekou, because that's where I get all my Google news. He was like, yo, this is a different way of learning. This is a real different way. Like, you can listen to podcasts, and when in the same, you can listen to a podcast that sounds engaging and kind of keeps my attention, but meanwhile it's talking about like a code base. Like, it's insane. It's insane. I can give this thing a GitHub repo and it can make a podcast about it. That's amazing. I can listen to that on the car ride, pick up my son, come back. I may be ready to get started. Possibly. Who knows? It's amazing. And I think that the next step for this is going to be, because the next, having a conversation, being able to ask follow-up questions, huge, awesome. The next step, I believe, is going to be maybe an interactive presentation piece to Google Notebook LLM, where they'll be able to maybe possibly create. Can they already do flowcharts and graphs in there?
Can it? I believe it can. I believe it can create
Yeah,
like some.
you can create markdown response and convert it into flowcharts.
Yeah.
I think that what's going to happen is that's going to maybe be all incorporated into like directly incorporated into Notebook LLM, because I can see how, as you're using this product, say you're using it for work, there's going to be conversion down the road. Like, say you want to use this as a jump off point to make a presentation, or to I don't know, maybe make some audio snippets or something like that. Who knows? But like, I think that the presentations really is really obvious. That's a real obvious piece, like an integration with Google Slides or something like that, to allow you to, by voice, create a presentation. Which, in my like, the way that I feel about it is that I would much rather do it that way, because it would allow me to be more natural in just conversationally coming up with a presentation. Marlon, I think that you could possibly use this too, because off the cuff, you're a great speaker. So as you're going and talking through it, there'll be so many gems within there, and to be able to easily just talk out what you're talking about, easily just isolate those into different slides. That'd be amazing. So I think presentations may be the next step, and I'm excited to try it out. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. You know what? It does actually. It can create graphs and things like that inside a Notebook LM.
Already.
Which is, yeah. So I've been looking at the Notebook LM Plus thing. I think is quite interesting. I'm gonna play around with it. I haven't actually gotten it just yet, but hopefully I will over there next week. So I still use the regular Notebook LM, the one that's free to use, and I think the idea of being able to like join a conversation, I think is novel. But I do like the passive learning piece of just like feeding in information, and creating those summaries, creating this. We always talk about the podcast part of Notebook LM, but it can do other things like create study guides and things like that for you. Just recently, I was using it for like I was doing some research on some different like network architectures, and you can go to not sure everyone knows this, but AWS, I think Google too. You can go to their website and they have like their guides on how to do something. And you can just print off the whole thing as a PDF if you want.
Yeah.
So I've just been shortcutting, going to those sites, because reInvent just happened, AWS's big conference, and they came up with a bunch of new features. And kind of rather than just kind of like just going through each thing and hoping I'm landing on the most interesting part of their updates or changes to their the new feature sets. I'm printing off the PDFs. I'm feeding them into Notebook LM. Notebook LM has a little bit of information just about who I am based off of like resumes and things like that I've given it. And I tell it to create a podcast on this subject. And I can also refer to the actual the videos that were done, the deep dives at reInvent. Adams as a source, and I can just create a deep discussion that's on something super niche within AWS that no one else cares about except for me, and I get the depth that I need. So hey, selfishly, like it's amazing. That's it. I think that's what the difference between what Notebook LM provides versus what research looked like before. Like when you're doing research, you have to kind of like build it to like an audience, right? So that many people can consume it and that you're hitting certain, communication styles and stuff like that. But when I'm using a Notebook LM, I'm essentially just making it for myself. It can be as deep or not as deep as I want, and I have that
Yeah.
full control. So I think that's pretty awesome. I want to see how it works with the Plus. I'm gonna try that out over the holidays and see what I can do with that. But yeah, I'm a fan.